Fuck 2020! Sorry, I had to get that out of my system. This year was not the year we wanted or expected, and it's not fair for all of us. But let's talk about something more positive, shall we? The Sonic the Hedgehog movie came out and it was good. Granted, it wasn't the best video game adaptation, but it's a start. Animaniacs came back as well, and they are still funny, witty, and totally insane-y. In The Mandalorian Season 2, mwah! Oh, and G4 is coming back too. But hey, at least we got video games to fall back on. After all, this year has encouraged us to watch more streaming content, or, in our cases, play video games. And they said that video games was bad for our health. Well, I'm here to talk to you all about the games of 2020 that I played. And just to clarify, if you're new here, this is not a countdown of the best games, but I will award some Game of the Years. And with that said, let's begin with something to aggressively wind down. Hey y'all!
Hello!
What it do?
What up,
Hello,
ladies?
you! Doom 2016 was one of the best FPS games in the past decade because of its high-octane action, which makes me proud of my hometown heroes, id Software. Topping that experience would be a labor and a half. And guess what? Eternal pulled it off. It's still frenetic, bloody fantastic, and golfily marvelous. The arsenal is here and better. Instead of the dinky pistol, now you have 2 shotguns because 2 shotguns are always better than 1. Simple mathematics, you know. However, this game encourages you to be on your feet because some demons require more than just strafing and shooting, like these goddamn marauders. They are a pain in the ass, but isn't killing and fighting 2 of them more rewarding than, like, I don't know, getting a college degree? I would love to be in the Doom Fortress 2. That is a badass hovel I want to spend my time in. Nothing can be said except Doom Eternal is one hell of a time. Nothing beats the pandemic fears away more than mutilating the spawns of hell. But now, let's wind down with something more calm. Truth be told, I never ever had interest in Animal Crossing or any other games in this wheelhouse like Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley. Well, this pandemic has socially crippled the planet, so what else can we do? Well, I and everyone else in the world decided to settle in their private little islands, including celebs like Elijah Wood and even freaking Danny Trejo. If they are playing it, it has to be good, right? So I caved in and made my new island, and I'll admit it, I get it now. Now I'm invested. It was fun to create my own island from scratch, even if I'm not good with terraforming. I love making new friends along the way, even though I had to say goodbye to some of them. Granted, the game could have used a lot of quality of life improvements like making more than one item less tedious than just having to do it one at a time. And sure, it was a pain to pay off Nook's debts, but that's the life I chose. Even though I have some gripes, those were practically tiny in the grand scheme of things. I love getting my own house and decorating it. Fishing was fun as well, and collecting fossils and bugs for the museum really lightened things up. Plus, Isabel is the sweetest little thing, always happy to bring news to my island with a smile. Who knows? Maybe I will try games like Stardew Valley. So, I'll happily say that Animal Crossing New Horizons has me saying, I'll be staying. Ugh, that was terrible. I'll just award this the Nintendo Switch Game of the Year. But I confess, I have neglected my island for months because of other games. So let's check out my island. Ori and the Blind Forest was one of my favorite Metroidvanias in the last few years, and I was beyond hyped when the sequel was announced, and I'm proud to say that Moon Studios struck another home run. As you can see, the game is majestic in its art direction, like you're in an interactive oil painting, And this time, while Ori still moves with the same level of grace and fluidity, it seems he took notes from Hollow Knight as his fighting abilities have been greatly expanded. And boy, fighting never felt better, especially these incredible boss battles. There's even a quaint forest town you can help rebuild, and finding almost every collectible is well worth it. I'd love to talk about this game in great detail one day, but for now, I cannot recommend it enough. Ori 2, The Will of the Wisps, is spiritually wonderful, and this is the best Metroidvania this year. The RE2 remake made playing a classic much fresher by remaking it from the ground up for the modern era, and they succeeded. And you can bet your ass I was ready when I heard RE3 was going to be remade too, but newsflash, it's not as great as the second. For the record, I never played the original PS1 title, and even then, I feel like this game excised a lot of content because this game does feel shorter. I also feel that the game is not as scary as 2, although I did hear the third was supposed to be more action oriented. And, that's a big and, Nemesis was not the oh so imposing figure it should have been. He was supposed to make Mr. X look as threatening as a Karen by comparison, and yet I don't feel intimidated by him at all. Whether he's wielding a flamethrower, a rocket launcher, or even mutating into these gigantic abominations, fighting him felt less Resident Evil horror scary and more like Resident Evil 6 levels of scary. Does that make sense? Sorry to say this, but this remake was unremarkable. Is it bad? Hell no, it's still good, but not as great as I would have hoped. And the less we talk about its multiplayer, the better. But is this the biggest disappointment of the year? Oh no, that belongs to something else. The Last of Us was the pinnacle of the PS3's library, and Naughty Dog couldn't possibly beat that peak, right? Well...
Please don't shoot.
Okay, despite all the controversies and what we all heard, I was vigilant in avoiding leaked spoilers and so on, and to judge the game based on its own merits. And I'm here to say that the sequel was underwhelming. Don't get me wrong, the game plays fine and it's still fun without question, but the pedigree of The Last of Us is its story and themes, and to me, I did not like it overall. What happened to Joel was bold, but to do that to him so early on was a little uncalled for. I also didn't like that the game was technically 2 campaigns long, especially because it felt too long and poorly paced. I love playing as Ellie and all, but why did I have to play the bad guy? I didn't like her, never liked her, and her story arc didn't make me sympathize with her, even when it tries so hard to. I get that the theme was that revenge is bad and almost never ending and all, and I could go on, but there are videos that already voice my gripes. To sum up, gameplay's fine, I finished it and I hated the ending, and I never want to play it again. Let's just say, this game did not fulfill my goopy goblin gamer brain well enough. And I don't care about the awards it won because this game for me was the last straw. Sorry Naughty Dog, sorry Neil Druckmann, but this game gets my title of most disappointing game of 2020. Fall Guys is good and all, but all I can say is I keep on falling in and out for a crown. Sometimes I love you, a lot of times you make me frown. And sometimes, actually, I don't know how to end this. I'm not Breno Floss or anything. So, Dosho! I'm about to make a bold statement. Sucker Punch might have made their magnum opus with Ghost of Sushima. No joke. This was the best game I played on my PS4. Playing a samurai who must bend the samurai code to become a ninja is one of the greatest adventures I've been on for a long time. and riding on my horse across the island never felt like a chore. In fact, I reveled in it. Learning how to fight the Mongol hordes, whether in standoffs or in the shadows, never felt so satisfying. And finding collectibles is so intuitive, especially when it's the wind showing you the way. Even Japan admits that they are jealous of Sucker Punch's efforts, and that's some high praise. Also, you can pet all the foxes! That alone is worthy of a 10 out of 10. No doubt in my mind, Ghost of Sushima is Psycho no Samurai. Sucker Punch, omedetou! Congratulations! You deserve my award for PS4 Game of the Year. Watch Dogs is back for a third time, and now London's a calling. And the big gimmick here is now you can recruit anyone to create havoc and stop tyrannical oppression. But is that enough to make this new Watch Dogs game good? Not really. And don't get me wrong, I love the fact I can hire 2 granny hackers, a drunk Asian brawler, and my own Idris Elba as James Bond. But that doesn't change the fact that the mission structure for most of the game is basically the same, especially when recruiting them. You'll mostly visit the same locations but have slightly different objectives. For instance, you go to this private military compound to steal data, but you might have to go back there again to save a prisoner. Same song and dance, different beat and measure. Plus, the story didn't grip me in as it should, as I was more compelled to recruit than further the plot. But maybe that's my own damn fault for being a bit addicted to hiring more than a dozen people, even though I use half of them. The fact that there is no true central protagonist gives me a big disconnect to the plot. If you can't get me to feel anything about a mass explosion that ruined London's social and governmental structure, you've done goofed. Watchdogs Legion was not a great effort. I'd say it's a C++ effort. If you want a good Watch Dogs experience, play Watch Dogs 2. I have a confession to make. I never played the original Crash Trilogy on the PS1, or at least some of them in their entirety. So this will be a true blind Crash experience for me, and after many levels in, I get it now. I now see why this marsupial is so beloved. If you played the originals, then this game is like riding a bike again, or polar bear in this case. The inclusion of the mask changes the game quite nicely, whether you're phasing in dimensional objects or slowing down time. Game does provide a drop shadow when you need to land correctly, but that doesn't mean this game is any easier. Far from it, because while the game does encourage better plays, the game will still kick your ass if you're not careful. Whether you go for the life system or no lives, it's up to you. But be careful if you go the completion route, because it will drive you insane. Seriously, trying to find all the boxes for the box gem is maddening, especially when you find that one box that is obscurely hidden that would make you do a quadruple take. Either way, Crash is back, and here's some more Bandicoot goodness. All in all, Crash 4, it's about time? Yep, it's about time indeed. All I can say is, whoa! Now, I must play the originals. Though, should I go for the PS1 classics or the Insane Trilogy? Only time will tell. Okay, let's not beat around the bush. We all know how well Cyberpunk's launch went, as well as trying to find a PS5 or Xbox Series X. An absolute mess. Well, if you own the Steam version like me, you are Nova. I mean it. I'm loving every single minute of it. Whether I'm killing corpos, gunning down gangs, I just can't put it down. But yeah, that's just me with my PC. PS4 and Xbox One players are not having the best of times. I feel awful for them because this was supposed to be a grand finale for this generation, and it ended with a technical nightmare. I am lucky since I opted out of a PS4 pre-order for Steam instead, but if that's not bad enough, the game's in such disarray, everyone is asking for refunds. Even the PSN store delisted it. Big yikes on CD Projekt Red. Big fucking yikes. Overall, CP2077 is A-OK for PC. Just wait a long while to play this if you're not hesitant. I don't blame you. And because of this buggy fluster cuck, this was not the game of the year I was hoping for. So, who else will take it? Supergiant Games are back again, and after finally coming out of early access, I can happily say that this might be my favorite roguelike in a long time. Seriously, I've been addicted to this game since October, and no matter how many times I lose, I always want to try again. Maybe it's because I love Greek mythology. Maybe it's the gameplay loop that feels so fresh every time. Or maybe it's Darren Korb's excellent soundtrack. I don't know, I can't put it down! Whether I'm slashing my sword with Ares' Doom effect, or duking it out with Dionysus' Hangover debuff, I always find great boon combos that get me to approach every play session in new ways. It also helps getting to know the denizens of the underworld, since they all have wonderful depth, whether I'm talking to Achilles, Meg, or Sisyphus. And even though I beat this game technically, I still want to keep playing. In the end, Hades is an Olympic triumph, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but this game wins 2 awards. Not just my Indie Game of the Year, but my 2020 Game of the Year. So with those games out of the way, here's a rapid fire round of some more games to take note of. The Pedestrian. This was a Kickstarter game I forgot about and wanted to help fund, but it's here, and this puzzle platformer is neat. Some of the puzzles are intriguing and they get more elaborate as you continue, but for such a small title like this, the backgrounds around the game are well crafted. If you have some money and time to spare, get this game. Its pedigree is far from pedestrian. Samurai Jack Battle Through Time. Samurai Jack is back, and this time, he's in a decent video game. Though to be fair, I'd say this is a PS2 era hack and slash game, in the best way possible. Slicing and dicing Aku's minions and other evil robots are always a fun time, but bear in mind that it's going to be repetitive sometimes. Still, it's harmless and good enough. Samurai Jack has returned, and I'm happier for it. No Street Roads. This might be the best imperfect indie game I played. The game plays alright, and you'll mostly fight generic robots, and you'll sometimes have to deal with some technical issues. While the game plays janky, this game sold me with its world, art, and soundtrack. And the boss fights are the true highlight of the game, like playing No More Heroes. I'd love to talk more in depth about this game in the future, but for now, please get this game just for the soundtrack alone! Maneater. Who doesn't love the idea of becoming a monster shark? Well, only if that power fantasy is well executed, and I'm afraid that is not the case here. The game is super repetitive, especially when it comes to both fighting and chomping on gators, other sharks, and shark hunters and the like. Also, the camera sucks! Not to mention some of the technical issues like frame rate drops and the game crashed on me twice. The only highlight is the narration in the style of a Shark Week episode, but otherwise, stay out of these shark-infested waters. Paper Mario Origami King. Paper Mario has had a very roller coaster reputation, and we've been hoping that this new outing would break that inconsistency. Though whether it's good or not is based on your expectations. For starters, this game is not a traditional RPG, as the fight system plays differently and you don't earn EXP, and that could be a huge turnoff. But the soundtrack has some bangers, and the game is hilarious in some parts. Plus, the fact that you fight a sentient pack of colored pencils as a boss is amusing enough. If you can look past the non-RPG veneer, you might find a good game in here. Battletoads. The Toadtastic Trio is back, and it's pretty surreal that they've returned. But is it a great welcome back? More or less. The beat-em-up mechanics have changed just a bit, and the exaggerated attacks have been relegated to their own little buttons. I will say that their Saturday morning cartoon aesthetic suits them well. It hits some good funny bones in parts. Honestly, the fact that the hover bikes are not impossibly hard is more than a reason to get this game. But if you want a real beat 'em up, then you must play Streets of Rage 4. When news of this game hit the net, I was shocked and utterly excited at the prospect of a new Streets of Rage game. And this game is truly lit like a blazing burning knuckle. The game now has an updated and cleaner look, and awesome soundtrack, including the retro classics. And the combat still makes you feel like a badass brawler with some new tricks up its sleeve. And the enemies are more than just reskins and different looks, because they will kick your ass if you're not careful. I highly recommend Streets of Rage 4 if you want to relive a Genesis classic. Plus, I want to get crushed under Estelle's muscles. What? So I simp for her, fight me, yo! So there you go, those are the games of 2020 that I've played. And I know I missed some others. FF7 Remake. I'm sure it's good and all, but I feel dirty playing this without having played the OG classic. Half-Life Alyx, I don't have the money or space to afford VR. Assassin's Creed Valhalla? I've been burned out on AC since Syndicate, to be honest. And the Avengers? I didn't buy into it since day zero. So what's to look forward to in 2021? Well, I usually look forward to some great games, and I'd love to eventually buy a PS5. But for now, I just hope the new year will be better. Period. So, here's to a better 2021. But that's all the time I have for y'all today, so be sure to like this video, subscribe, and share it across the web. Would you kindly? Till then, I'm Moon Spirit saying good night. Here's to a great 2021, and goodbye 2020. Because good riddance, you were bad as 2016.